All right, guys, I've shared the link in the announcement. We'll share the link in the main channel. And we'll just talk for a bit and then get into the AMA.
Yep.
Cool. All good in your world, Tob?
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Getting on with it.
Ant was just commenting on the hair is getting a little out of control.
Yeah, that's definitely a reality.
So we all know you don't have that problem.
No, I have a receding hairline. Thank you.
I never said that.
All right, so I've got the recording started. We'll let some people jump in here. Catherine's got host controls, so she's going to be admitting people and then keeping everyone on mute.
Right.
Cool.
I think this EST time and it confuses everyone. I know I have to check it every time. I'll check you out with the backgrounds. Yeah, mine's real. Mine's real, dude.
Mine's fake. Till I make it.
No Burger King background to get a free burger.
No.
Is that a thing out there?
There's a few different places that have done that, where it's like, if you like show that in a meeting of X number of people, you had a background of their company, then you get a free burger or something.
Yeah,
pretty sweet.
You have to take a snap of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So yeah, we'll wait, give a couple more minutes for people to join. I'm sure the Zoom change will have thrown a few people off, but we'll record this and then upload it to YouTube so that people can see it. But then get into the discussion around Q2 and kind of AMA, and have you guys kind of grill away.
Mm-hmm. I think Toad's bad cop and I'm good cop, just FYI.
Is that it? I'm better at good cop, actually.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll get started. So the kind of this is an idea you guys brought up, like, hey, what about an AMA that involves sort of a non-team member asking some questions, and then it's like kind of lens back on you guys, like, who knows the project and is better within, like, it knows the questions of the community better than you guys. So and it's always a good time talking to you guys. And so I thought this would, like you guys mentioned it, your idea, and I thought it was awesome. So happy to have you guys, and sort of publicly thank you guys for the sort of support over the years and helping with the community and the project. Everyone, including the team, the community especially, and myself is extremely appreciative of the work that you guys have done, and the project is better, significantly better because of the work that you guys have done. So thank you. And I'm just trying to butter you guys up so you don't ask me, too many hard questions. But no, but eager to kind of go through this as a first time of sort of a Q2 update plus AMA. Give you guys plenty of time to ask questions, anything you want. And like I do in any kind of other interview or podcast, there'll be some that I might not be able to answer for reasons, but I'll explain those. Cool.
Right.
Right on. So I'll go quickly through kind of the main highlights of the update, because it's kind of the part Q2 update, and then we'll jump into questions. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, sounds good.
Right on. Cool. All right. So main accomplishments, so there's kind of 3 highlights of what we've accomplished in Q2, and then a couple of roadblocks, and then we'll wrap up with some of the stuff around what we're looking forward to in Q3. So in Q2, developed the Relay.digital concept and execution plan, which I know we'll probably chat a bit more about. Gained lots of press for the essential goods, sort of that short little sort of press play that we did. gained super successful from a press standpoint, and helps people, which is great. Blade back in Firefox and the referral promo running with steady user growth again now, which took too long, but we're back, and we were concerned that our user growth lever was maybe not going to be as effective once we got back, but we're back and it's working. Couple kind of partnership discussions underway, and the Skynera project, and then we ran into some roadblocks, of course, in Q2. Blade removed from the Firefox for too long. That took some time. The KuCoin ST program, which is now resolved positively, which is good. And then COVID-19 has disruptions within some of our projects, specifically our revenue generating project within eSig is seeing some strong headwinds from that, with marketing dollars being cut. And so those are some of the roadblocks that we've run into. But yeah, excited to get into this and have you guys kind of take it over from here and, ask questions, and we'll let the conversation go wherever it goes.
Great. So Tob, that's me. Anthony, I seem to remember joining the group as an admin somewhere. I'm thinking February or March 2018. Like, Anthony, am I saying that right? Because I think you were on already before I was. And I know the ICO was just before that, a few months before. So I've been here pretty much from the beginning, and I've sort of gone through the ups and downs. So I wanted to say that in response to your initial message, John. So yeah, Ant and I are happy to be here. We're happy to help. We've been here pretty much from the beginning. I know Ant has been here from even before the beginning, even before the the ICO went up, and he'd sort of been doing his things in the background at the time with some of the major investors in the project. And there's a lot that's been going on in the past couple of years in crypto. We've kind of stuck to our guns and we're executing on the plan. And I think we're making headway. There's difficulties along the way, but we're making headway. So that's good. So that's sort of like at a 30,000 foot level. Ant, I don't know if you want to say something, just unmute yourself there. You're still
Catherine, are you able to unmute?
There we go. Perfect. Having a little panic attack in the background, thinking I can't unmute myself. Yeah, no, Tob, I think you summed it up well. The whole crypto space has been an interesting space for definitely the last few years, and you and I have been there pretty much from the beginning. And we shared the same views from the beginning, and hence why we've ended up meeting. Tob and I have ended up meeting up a couple of times. Plans for me to go over there once Tob buys my ticket, but we'll get there. But no, definitely, I think from both of our point of view, this project isn't just a project that we're an admin in. It's a project that we have invested in and personally believe in it. So we're glad to be here and glad to be able to support it, but also help shape it as well, which is what has been really important to me personally for the last couple of years.
Yeah, thanks. So John, we have a couple of questions that Ant and I will kind of go back and forth on, but I thought maybe to start, if you don't mind just talking about, and we'll get into details, a lot of details here, but if you just don't mind talking about adbank, talking about the ad space, talking about, I guess, how you got into it, but then also where it is today, given today's realities. Just take us a little bit, just condense those, the beginning till now, so to speak, and then we'll go deeper from that point.
Yeah, sounds good. So I mean, I think the genesis of the idea came from me operating the space as a kind of user of digital advertising from the standpoint of a business operator in the space with running websites. And that ecosystem, it was always just so frustrating, the convoluted connection between advertiser and publisher, and that mess of middlemen that exists in there, and the promise of blockchain to put some transparency into that system. And that was like that, that's probably like, call that like just the seed of the genesis, and it's gone in so many directions from that point. But I would say the that problem set is worse now than it was before. There's the rate of ad fraud, it has not made a significant decline. It continues to be a very problematic space that is ripe for a solution. Yeah.
Okay. And in general, just that the ad space are you seeing big changes compared to spend back when you started, somewhere in the middle versus today?
Yeah. So spend, so spend was projected to be up about 15% year over year, which was sort of in line with, and that was like, call that like February timing, what was being seen. And then COVID came along and demolished ad spend. 40% across the board is sort of the number that gets quoted, and that gets broken down by industry. Obviously, if you're running our cruise lines, not much point in spending ads to get people onto a ship that you're not running. So different industries impacted significantly, but like as a weighted average, it's been down about 40% year over year.
Wow, that's significant. And I'm imagining that has an impact on crypto, any kind of crypto spend, right? It's just a mirror image of any other kind of ad spend.
Yeah. I think that some industries that are like online gaming is so a heavy user of crypto focused advertising platforms would be online gaming, and that industry is doing well while everyone's at home looking for things to do, and so it's similar, but there's some pockets that are better off.
Okay. Well, we've had 2 years of kickoff development, building. We've had an increase in devs. We've built a lot of stuff. We've sort of shrunk a little bit as time has passed, given crypto winter. Blade has come along. Last year we had the kickoff, like it was implemented, it was running live. We ran into some hiccups recently again, but as of today, Blade is back on Firefox. We're running referral promos. The tasks are in play, and we're getting more of those as we go. And then, with that in the backdrop, we have this new concept of sort of relay digital that the team introduced. And could you just talk about how the idea came up to have Blade used in that way, and maybe also where the idea came from for relay?
Yes, great. So relay.digital was something that we'd actually thought about before, and then it was something that in one of our conversations with you guys, a similar kind of concept came up around a rewards program within corporations. We were kind of hesitant to push it because of the non-direct tie into the token economics, and that wasn't the focus. Blade was the focus because it's such a native application of the token. But what relay.digital does for anyone that hasn't sort of read any of that post is it's a B2B offering. So it's meant to be used by corporations of sort of 50 to thousands of employees that have their staff now working remote as a result of COVID, and which has now accelerated that trend of remote work, who want to communicate corporate messages such as, here's our company values, here's our company mission, things that are hard to influence for when the staff is not located in close proximity. These super important but non-urgent messages, which existing channels of communication aren't great for. And so that's where the idea came from. And then we looked at the development work to say, how much is it going to take to sort of pivot the tech that we have over to be a B2B play. And that was the sort of the idea. And then we brought Angus on board to run hard and test this out from a business development standpoint.
Interesting. Ant, do you want to jump in here once you get unmuted?
Sorry, guys. I think I'm somehow muting myself. Yeah, no, I think, going back to those conversations around Relay, when we first brought it up, we were really excited about it. And the next thing we knew is John turned around and said, "Oh, guys, so Relay's here." So I kind of a little bit hats off at how quick that come round, and it's a bit of a reflection for me. Going, Jesus, we were only talking about this yesterday. But I think what's important to understand is how Relay is using that adbank tech, because a lot of people say, especially the community, kind of going, "Oh, yeah, but John, why is adbank not focused on Blade, or why are we diverting?" I think it's important for the community to understand how it actually uses the adbank tech and using what we've already built.
Yeah. So the tech development is very little. So what we need people to do is block an ad and then replace that ad. And so really this is just a wrapper put around the existing tech that we have to go and block ads, to then serve them ads that is dedicated to a single campaign. So if there's a campaign for IBM starts using this. And then there's a campaign that is dedicated to IBM, that everyone that has this installed in their browser that is an IBM employee will see only ads that are issued through that campaign. So it's almost like a geo-targeting solution. And so the amount of tech that gets built from this to be able to execute this is really, really little. And then the timing of this, of COVID and this remote work and everyone trying to solve these problems, it just meant that it was, although this was like on the back burner for a while, this was the time to try and push this into the forefront.
Yeah, I find that quite interesting, actually, because, well, in a country like Canada that's so large, even within the same country, you have different geographies and different sort of things that are relevant at any particular point in time. So if you got an organization that's got thousands of employees, what's important for folks in Ontario might be different at any given time to what's happening to people in BC. So I find that could be very useful in those types of organizations that are operational in a country like the size of Canada. Okay, can we and
And is the TOB frozen for you as well?
Yeah, I think he froze as well.
I'm sure he'll.
Beauties from working from home. I think one of the things, I'll jump in. What TOB was going to ask is maybe to understand a little bit how does Relay benefit ADB tokens, and the token holders. At the end of the day, I think I'd be doing a disservice if I weren't, asking for the community right now and saying, John, look, this is great. We've built another part to adbank. Adbank's got, as I say, more arms to it. It's growing, which is great. But how does that benefit adbank, the community, token holders, and ADB tokens?
Yeah. So I'll answer what I can. And as we've talked. I can't sort of directly address the kind of market and price talk. So we've tried to mirror the token economics through a 33% of all revenue that gets generated through the Blade .software or Blade, Relay.digital. Through any revenue generated from contracts, 33% gets held in adbank tokens. And then the other kind of two significant reasons for doing this is user adoption. So ideally this gets used on thousands of devices, and every ad that they see is going to be their corporate message. Plus it'll say, which is a requirement, ads by Blade. And people will naturally say, what's Blade? And they'll say, oh, cool, I'm already using this at work, but now at home I can see ads and get rewarded with ADB tokens. I'm already using it. Sounds great. Easy migration. So hopefully get some user adoption through that. And then also, the more users we get, the more revenue we get, the faster we can be accelerating and getting real feedback. And so if we're getting kind of corporate paying users that are providing intense feedback will be able, and we're generating revenue from that, we'll be able to accelerate the development efforts and add features that'll benefit Blade, which will benefit more users, which will benefit the community.
Okay, thanks there. So the 33%, I think that's the bit I want to kind of just make sure everybody's clear on. So that 33%, you're saying that gets bought back with to the token holders as well.
Yeah, that goes into the market, open market, and buys ADB.
And is there any figures that you can give us maybe for the month, or how things, or maybe not figures, but in terms of percentage, how that's growing at the moment for us?
Yeah, so the user adoption strategy so Angus has come on board with a background in sort of corporate accounts, working with large companies in sort of messaging and digital advertising. And the path to adoption right now is free pilots, followed by $1 per user per month onboarding. And so we are still primarily in that those discussions around lining up the pilots, and the purchase cycle, like the buying decisions of corporations, are not the same as kind of some of the smaller advertisers that we've been working with.
Interesting.
Sure.
And John, I guess on that, are you? I just got kicked off for a second of my cheap internet. John should pay me more. But are you expecting?
You get paid.
A projection. Are you expecting? What kind of run up are you expecting? I think that's kind of what we're looking at. It's good to have like a nice, big hairy goal that we're looking at. We may make it, we may not make it, but I'd just like to pick your mind on what you think that is.
So I like at this stage, the roundness of this number dictates the level of accuracy of the number. So the 100K a month is 100,000 users on the platform would be great, because I think we're on that trajectory slowly, but with Blade, and if we could have the B2B offering having something similar, that would be great. Timeline, big question mark, but that's kind of, we think that it doesn't. There are companies that have 10,000 seats. There are many companies that have 10,000 seats. That's 10 sales to 10 companies with 10,000 seats. A lot harder than I just sort of explained that, but it's not. There is a path to those numbers.
Interesting. Ants, do you have any sort of relay specific questions still before we maybe pivot a bit and go into the task marketplace? I think you need to pay him more too, John.
Yeah. Could be. Paid my bills. I don't know.
Okay, can we pivot, John, to the task marketplace and talk maybe a little bit about how it's performing, maybe how it's performed during the periods that Blade was obviously running, and then again look into the future and see what you can expect reasonably from that little project.
Yeah, so Task Marketplace has done what we, the sort of the quick version on the background is got all these users, started showing them ads.
Yeah.
Couldn't monetize those ads at all. The CPM that fair market value of the ads that we were showing was almost worthless, unfortunately. And we realized, like, holy crap, we got all these people that want to do stuff for crypto, but that we can't, showing them ads doesn't sort of generate any value. And so what we shifted to was Task Marketplace, which is we create the tasks that allow people to execute, and then we communicate that through email and through the Blade. They see an ad to go do a task, and they get rewarded in adbank tokens paid for by the advertiser that wanted that task completed. And so it's a very fun experiment for a lot of the marketers on the team, like specifically Catherine, in terms of like the kind of uniqueness of the different tests that we can run with this. And so where is it now? We've run some successful projects. Skynera was a very successful one. We've run some successful ones internally, a little bit delayed as a result of the Firefox issue. And then Q3 here, we have some pretty fun kind of tests coming up in terms of like Easter egg hunts that will really create a level of engagement through digital advertising that isn't available on any other technology platform because of our unique setup.
Interesting. And just focusing on the Skynera task that you mentioned, you quickly said it went well. If you can just talk a little bit about that, and maybe also add, like, what is the expectation for some of these projects to come back? Like, are these the kind of tasks that they would try once, be happy with the outcome, and say, hey, you know what, I think I want this again? And are we seeing that at all?
Yeah. So you can't run it back to back. So there is some amount of gap between these tasks that you need to run. But what we have been testing is running some very similar tasks. At what frequency, do we get some additional uptake? So the results were enough to justify coming back. And then we're just now sort of like, we don't want people to have a bad experience if they came back immediately. We might test that at some point, but it wouldn't be a great experience for the users. It wouldn't be a great experience for the projects. So I think they got value. They'd happily use it again, and it's just a question of timing.
Is it tricky to run tasks like at the same time?
Yeah.
And is that because of the size, or like what's driving that?
Communication messaging. So that, again, Catherine does a great job of this, of sort of like lining up, like sort of like getting people excited about the task that's coming, running the task, last day of the task, make sure you complete it. And so if we were running multiple threads, I think that would be hard for people to follow along. We have tested sort of like one day blips, just say like 1 day only, large reward, task, go execute. And we're just testing. We're still very early in that testing phase. Well, we have, back in Firefox. And so I don't think we'll ever run multi-day. I don't think we may get to the size where we would be running multi-day campaigns in parallel to different segments of the audience.
Right. Okay. And looking down the line, let's just say this year, how do you see the task marketplace evolving? It sounds like as long as everything is online and it's working on Firefox, we can, from what I can see, we can get to tasks every 2-3 weeks, a new task every 2-3 weeks if possible. I mean, maybe that's a bit ambitious, but so it looks like technically we should be able to do like what, 10-15 tasks between now and say the end of the year. Again, maybe a bit ambitious. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, we're building a plan around kind of weekly, in terms of total number. I like the background there, and
trying to outdo me.
I thought I was missing out, so I thought I'd add one.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we're aiming at weekly. It'll probably be a little bit under that, but I think that what it will feel like is kind of every 2 weeks, but then with a whole bunch of like 1 day tests and such in there.
Okay. And do you have a task marketplace related question that you still want to?
Yeah, I guess.
There, or
what's next? What's next for Task Marketplace? Because we've done a few of these now, and we've seen how it's performed. What's next, John? Where do you see us going from here?
So we gotta get focusing on crypto projects and sort of little campaigns for crypto projects is a little bit too small of a niche for this to survive and thrive. And so we need to find a offering that has a larger total addressable market. And that means we need to look at integrating some of this with some strategic partnerships where their marketing offer is they may not even know that this is a kind of a white labeled service through some marketing agencies that require some amplification of their campaigns. And then that creates a much larger total addressable market with an audience that is much like our audience still does their thing, but the sort of end consumer of what's buying it gets it because they're the marketers, but then the eventual, like the ultimate customer can be in a pretty wide range of niches. So that's what's coming next, is testing to try and expand the ideal audience to sort of align us with strategic partnerships that increase our total addressable market.
Cool. I think that does it on my side as far as the task marketplace is concerned, and thought maybe we could move on to essential goods and maybe talk a little bit about how we're getting adbank's name out there in terms of press coverage. Whether you think it's going well, whether you think it's something you want to improve on if it's not going well, and what are the sort of steps we can expect from you in that in trying to achieve that.
Yeah, so background on essential goods was kind of when COVID hit, it felt like a problem that we had some skill sets that we might be able to solve in terms of like work from home, which kind of, part where the relay discussion came from. But then Connor also had a real simple solution around alerts for out of stock items. So tech, totally unrelated. But something that we could have put a resource on and hopefully do some good in a time where there was a kind of a need for a problem. So launched extremely quickly, kind of under 2-week effort by one developer with Connor, and put out to the world. And then the sort of how it fit within AdBank was essential goods by AdBank doing some good. And although the intent was to help people, not necessarily newsjack, the result was that we did something useful and some people used it, and we got some pretty great press. Connor was on one of the largest morning shows in Canada as Connor from AdBank. We got, I think, like 6 or 7 other sort of press mentions. So from a press standpoint, useful. Even if we didn't get any press, we would have probably still done this because I think the benefit was going to be there for people. And then as far as where it's at now, that need has dissipated, fortunately, which is good in the world. And so we've shut it down, and it's no longer any kind of focus for anyone's on the teams. But it was hopefully did some good, got some press, and now cleanly shut it down and carried on.
Interesting.
Cool. Can I just jump in? Putting things back simply, I'm just sitting there thinking, some people mostly don't know what essential goods is. Can we just talk a bit about, John, what that actually is, just so the community's benefit as well?
For sure, yeah. So totally unrelated from forgetting anything about Blade or blockchain or crypto. Totally unrelated. This was just a solution to monitor Amazon products that were out of stock. So especially at the start of COVID, there was this period of time where products, especially like some of the popular ones in terms of the often quoted ones like toilet paper, hand sanitizer, were going out of stock. But there was other stuff like hair dye, etc., that people felt bad, but that was kind of some of their essential products that they cared about and wanted. And so what we built, or what Connor built, was a app to monitor when inventory got back in stock on Amazon, and then send them an alert as soon as it was back in stock. So again, totally unrelated to kind of AdBank tech, Blade, blockchain, crypto, but something that Connor identified and could quickly get built.
Fair. John, one thing for me is AdBank, in my eyes, is always, and especially as we're hearing right now, has always spent time sort of developing the tech side of things. I always say I don't think we shout loud enough when we're doing good stuff, and things like being at these events and how well it's gone. I think we need to shout loud. I don't think we pat ourselves on the back or share that news as much as maybe other projects do. But however, on that same note, one of the questions that keeps coming up time and time again is kind of around the marketing side of things. So talking about the marketing is like, other projects are sitting, and I appreciate you're going to tell me, and I've got to be careful what I say, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. But other projects, will be spending money on exchanges, will be throwing money at advertising, will be, doing all of that stuff. And, we've sat, and Toby and I have sat there, held to our gun, telling the community, guys, it's great that they're doing that, but they haven't got a product. They haven't got something that's working. I think there was some industry figure about 12 to 18 months ago where, the top 100 coins that didn't even have, 80% of them didn't have a working product. Can you just explain a little bit about your strategy and approach to this? I think it's really important that from the community point of view, they understand, from your point of view, why you won't spend that money before or at that point, and why you focus on the tech and building the tech.
Great question. And we do spend money on marketing, just not as much as everyone wants.
Okay.
Including Catherine. But sorry,
yeah, should have better asked that.
No, but fair question, and I know it's we've been consistent from the start on saying that what do we care about? We care about the community, the product, and those are one. That true kind of liquidity comes from utility, as sort of a saying that I've had from the start. And we were never going to be a project that blew hot air. We had a working product before, even coming back to like the token sale days. It was a pretty crappy product, but it worked. And then we've come out with improvements and improvements and improvements. And in the end, there's no way that a project without a working product will survive the long timeline. I don't know what that timeline is. No one does. But if all the project has is hot air, then it has to run out at some point. That it's the projects that aren't focused on sort of developing, iterating. One of the other sort of big beefs I've had with kind of this space is these ideas come out as fully like the projects that don't have a solution often come out with this 4-year roadmap of like, we know every step along the way to build this thing that is totally different, and everyone's going to use it because product market fit's going to be easy. And the reality of sort of building projects and businesses is that like product market fit is damn hard to find. And the projects that are iterating the fastest and sort of treating it as a business and their product as like caring about the product market fit side versus the marketing side. So we've got some dry powder to throw at marketing when there's needs and when there's opportunities, but it's going to be done in a way where we can measure our customer acquisition costs and find a solution that benefits all players of the ecosystem, and not just kind of the call it like the crypto side, but benefit the product side, the crypto side, the market side. It needs to be a full kind of coherent push versus just a noise push over here that doesn't benefit the product.
Sure. So I guess in short is, it's about the longevity of the project, and that we need to have a product, in order to perform and actually not just blow hot air about how great we are. We want that product to do the talking, to benefit the community in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, are you finding it challenging to transition from building to selling essentially? Did that influence headcount? Did that influence the type of people that are still around with adbank? You know, and I want to connect that to this very real goal that you mentioned earlier, which is getting Blade users to 100,000 people, whenever that ends up being.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the fact that we have that as a goal. That's very business driven. It has very little to do with developing. It's just you got to hit the pavement and sell the service, essentially, sell the product. How are you finding that transition? And is there anything that you think you still need to do to like push down that line, other than marketing, which we just talked about?
Yeah. So I feel like we made that switch. We made that switch around the time of deployment of Blade. So we've been there for almost a year, I would say, of kind of in that phase of product development is driven by demand and not by our like, hey, here's a bright idea, let's go build something and see if they will come. But as now iterations are being driven by demand and problems and bug fixes. And so no, the transition hasn't been hard. It hasn't gone as the sort of, it hasn't gone as well as we wanted to, because we've had to make the pivot away from, we're going to get a bunch of users, we're going to show them ads, people are going to pay for us to show them those ads. Oops, that business model is broken, that's not going to work. And then pivot to the task marketplace. And so there's challenges, but I'd say it hasn't been hard internally, but it definitely has influenced both headcount size or to make sure we have the runway that we want to be in this for forever, and has influenced some of our development cycles. But yeah, I'd say it's been for me personally, kind of I enjoy it more.
Okay, that's
Nice.
interesting.
Nice.
Are you oh, sorry, go on, Ant.
Yeah, no, always from my point of view is all about, how well is it going, and it's always around that marketing bit, but, the goal of gaining mainstream press, every, coverage every quarter, how are we doing? Is that, how's that going?
Yeah. So we got the essential goods mainstream press, which wasn't as, so there's always kind of a question of like, mainstream press could be me as like CEO of whatever, talking about work-life balance or like, and then like, it's like mainstream press, but not really what we want in terms of driving users. So I'd say this quarter we got mainstream press, but it wasn't the sort of like, Blade's awesome, sign up, says TechCrunch, right? It wasn't that piece that we got. So we're trying to get that mainstream press every quarter. We got, a solid piece. And I think this quarter we're going to hopefully get some through relay.digital in terms of kind of the work from home solutions that are going to be out there and how many people are talking about that right now.
Cool.
Right.
So John, I guess before the task marketplace, before we pivoted to the task marketplace, we were focused on getting ads, showing them to people, and hopefully driving some kind of revenue through that way, which is then split between adbank, the community, and so on. Now that we pivoted away from that, I guess, to the task marketplace, are we still looking at CPMs as is it still a key metric for us? And if so, like, how are we focusing on bumping that up as much as we can?
Yeah, so it's we can still measure it as effective CPM. So what I mean by that is, and I'll comment kind of back to the really digital piece as well in terms of the users and how that like how do we keep pushing on that arm of the business. So how are we doing? The goal for the year was to achieve a repeatable $2.50 CPM. We have run campaigns that have performed at that. The value created was greater than that. People will pay $2.50 CPM to show ads based on the activity, the tasks that were completed. So that's the great news. The challenge with the task marketplace as it relates to CPM is that the consistency of the tasks needs to get really dialed in to be able to run kind of week after week after week after week. And so,
what do you mean by consistency of the task? The frequency with which they come
yeah,
up? Or?
Okay. Yeah, So frequency would be a better word, but so we just need to stay we just need to keep those dialed and make sure that each one is a super high value task, which is challenging to have them all lined up. So what we've seen is, we know the task marketplace can drive value. That we kind of learned that last quarter and then have re-demonstrated this quarter. And that's exciting for us because we know we can go get these users now and we can generate value in the world that people will pay for. So that's like, that connection is so important, and that was broken. It's like we knew how to get users. Oh crap, they're not at all valuable. But now it's like we know how to get users, we know how to generate value for all parties involved, and now we just need to scale that.
Interesting. And maybe a follow-up to that. I think it's difficult for any member of the community to sit back and say, oh, I know how to get users, or I know how to help adbank get users. Because I think that's difficult. Is there, and so that's on the user side, but how about on the, bringing in these tasks? Like what does it take to bring one in? Is there any way community members can go away and say, oh, I think that's the service that could use adbank, sort of get us all referring adbank or Blade for that matter?
Yeah, so we definitely want community to, if you have ideas on getting users or on potential sort of companies that would benefit from the task marketplace, send them our way. I mean, that's where Skynera came from. That was a community generated task from within the communities that has some overlapping interests. So if anyone has other projects or even other non-crypto businesses that require some tasks like social media users, YouTube views, YouTube subscribers, we have a group, we have an audience that is capable of going and completing these tasks that can help with social proof for people's businesses. So if anyone has those, there will definitely be, community member discounts and rewards for bringing anything to us. So yeah, send them our way.
Great. And anything coming up to mind? I'm just watching out for our time here. We have it for an hour. And we're about 10 minutes away from that, so we can still field a couple questions here. Maybe open it up for the community. I'm going to check on Telegram to make sure no questions have come through, but I'll leave it for you, Ant, for a second here to.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think John, what would be a nice kind of sort of roundup from everything that we've covered is, so your view, optimistic for the rest of 2020? Are we set, and do you feel we're set in the right place to achieve our goals, adbank's goals, and have a good year ahead of us? Is adbank getting aligned to where you envision it to be?
Yeah, you always you love asking that kind of question, and I always appreciate it. Put me on the spot, but yeah,
I won't get this opportunity often.
It's I've always said that, like, we're still in the fight, and I feel it's like now we've got more dogs in the fight than we've ever had.
Yeah.
Many of which, like, it's like the level of importance of that connection between, it really can't be understated in terms of the connection between we know how to get users, we know how to generate value for all parties involved in that from those users using the adbank token, and now we just need to just keep that wheel spinning and spinning and spinning. Will we hit our goals this year? I hope so. Will be challenged because of the kind of the few month gap of user adoption on Firefox to hit 100K. But we might, we'll have to have an uptick in adoption, but maybe still we're not dead for sure from that goal. And we've got, I think, a lot of, Relay.digital could be a game changer for the business. Certainly something that's very timely, going to stay timely for the rest of 2020, and people need to solve that problem. And it's a very unique application of our tech. So overall positivity, yeah. And I think I think the crypto space is I'd say it's like the market's always like, overly exuberant or overly pessimistic, but it feels like right now it's in a fairly balanced location. Not an expert in that, but it feels like we're at a stable place to build from with some proven product market fit on the task marketplace side and some great growth opportunity in task marketplace or in Relay.digital. So yeah, I'm always optimistic, but definitely I think some good stuff coming.
I can't hear.
Oh, I can hear you, John.
Yeah. Okay.
Which means if I can hear you, then your recording is working.
Perfect.
Couple questions from the community.
Yeah.
They're not. I won't ask them in a specific way. If you can just say a few words, and I know you've said it before about the patent and where that stands on the one hand, and then maybe also a few words on our runway, adbank's runway. Again, it's been touched on before, but I think it's worthwhile having all this information for people who are looking at this video. When we send it around, that they can just refer to this video as well.
Yeah, no, great questions. So the patent, we've heard back. So I don't know how long it's been since we submitted, but we've how lawyers can be.
I do.
So we finally heard back. It has been assigned to a reviewer.
Okay.
It has been put into the category. Not awesome news in terms of the difficulty of there's always some gameplay in terms of trying to call it like, is this digital advertising or is this another form of application of this technology? And depending on which category it gets grouped in, your probability of success either goes up or down. Supposedly, that's what the lawyers have told me.
The lawyer told you.
Yes.
Blame
lawyer. So we've unfortunately been put into the more challenging to get awarded camp of digital advertising, which we always kind of figured we would get put into because it's related to digital advertising. But we try to sort of fish it into another kind of a grouping. So it's we haven't heard. Next expectation is we get a series of questions back to us to communicate what is to sort of answer any objections to them awarding it, or we get no questions back and it gets awarded. So waiting to hear back, but it has moved through the system, and I don't know. I'd imagine they can all work remote, so I don't know if this will have
might take a while. Yeah,
delayed or not. And then second question was around runway. So we've had months of infinite runway. So, that's always been the goal. Kind of burn hard, develop lots, build the business, have the building of the business catch us in terms of the burn, and have infinite runway and grow from there. We came down lower than we wanted to in terms of had to cut deeper than we wanted to cut, but then have been capable of achieving months of infinite runway. Didn't really talk about eSig much, but it's run into some significant headwinds, both from marketing ad spend cut on COVID, and then also some FDA rules that are coming out that are going to have significant consolidation in that industry in September. And so what that looks like for us, we're still trying to understand. But we've had months of infinite runway in the last quarter, and months that we're still burning. But runway projection is still. I've said, I think the way I've been communicating it is through 2021, and that hasn't changed.
Okay.
And we've demonstrated that we've hired Angus. We've been pushing on some growth initiatives, and it hasn't just been a kind of a cut and hold.
I think that's really important, John. We previously said 2021. However, what I think is really important is to also acknowledge that we've continued to build the tech, and we've done, made another recruit, and added Angus to the team. I think that's, stuff that we can't dismiss, and, know that it has costs to be able to do that. So, to know runway is still strong, along with all the additionals that we've done. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll stay in this fight, through a winter, through whatever's next, we're going to keep pushing this forward.
Fantastic. Great.
That's it from my end, Ant. We're pretty much we're 5 minutes out. Well, look at that. Pretty good timing. Any last thoughts, Ant, on your side from your perspective, I guess?
No, I'd say that it's for me, just as a reminder, adbank joined just before, at the high, and there's many projects that joined at a similar time that are not around now, or even projects that joined just before the crypto high. So I do think there's a lot to be said for the fact we're still here, we're still going strong, we're still growing tech. And we're active and we're alive. So for me, a lot of people, I get a lot of DMs. I know, Toby, you get it as well, just around, and what do you really think? And I genuinely say this is that if I didn't think there was something to play for, I wouldn't be here. And as much as Toby and I moan at John and say, hey, John, you need to shout about the good news more often, there is certainly a lot happening. And I will continue to say that, John, you need to shout about the good news more often.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Right on. No, well said, Ant. And yeah, I appreciate, like I said at the start, really appreciate, the work that you guys do has made the project, the community, and everything in it better. So really, really appreciate. I really appreciate that.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Toby, anything?
Not much. I think the only thing I would say is, I've had one question that I responded to, that the community member, I think, expressed how they felt the task marketplace was maybe not as complex, or what I mean, or as revolutionary an idea for an AI taunting, we're going to fix the ad industry, sort of vision that adbank maybe communicated in the beginning. And it's good to have visions, and we should have a grand vision, but we need to take small steps, and then they become bigger steps, and then they become even bigger steps. So my view is, hey, we're taking small steps, perhaps. From that person's perspective, I think they're pretty decent steps, and we're growing, and I think we should just keep at it. And Ant and I are still going to be here. We're still pretty energized about the project, and yeah, the idea is that it just keeps on growing. So.
No, but to totally agree with that person's comment. It's not as crazy, but the end state is still the same. Our path to it is just a little bit different, and then. Relay.digital is hopefully part of that solution, because there's not much point in AI unless there are ads being shown to sift out the fraud. But with the problem we have right now is our user base is unmonetizable. However, under this Relay.digital, if we can then pivot those people over to Blade users, we're getting people who are coming from Fortune 500 type companies that are on their computer, and so that the monetization the monetization of that audience through digital ads will be significantly better. So that's hopefully definitely not the path that I would have didn't engineer this path, but it's the one that is presenting itself, and we're executing against it.
Yeah, awesome,
cool.
Well, Ant left us, just so you remember, community. I was here till the very end. Ant left early. That's his style. And
copied your background.
Doug. Exactly. Thanks, Doug. And thanks, team. And we'll be on the community. Ask questions. We're happy to help. And till next time.
Right on. Nice to meet you. See ya.